Imagine waking up one morning and discovering that the person you're trying to protect might actually be the person everyone else wants dead. And now imagine that the only man who can uncover the truth is Jack Reacher. But Reacher has a problem. He doesn't know who he can trust, because somewhere inside Philadelphia, someone is watching every move he makes. And tonight, they're about to make their move. The episode begins shortly after the events of the previous chapter. Reacher is sitting alone inside a nearly empty diner. No music, no conversation, just the sound of rain hitting the windows. Across from him is Congressman John Sampson, a powerful politician, a respected public figure, and according to the evidence Reacher's uncovered, a man standing dangerously close to the center of the entire conspiracy. Sampson looks exhausted, but Reacher doesn't care. He isn't there to comfort him. He's there for answers. Reacher places a small piece of evidence on the table, then another, and another. 3 separate clues, 3 separate incidents, but somehow they all point to the same person. Sampson looks at them. Then he says something Reacher wasn't expecting. He doesn't deny knowing about the conspiracy. Instead, he admits that he has been hiding something for years. And this is where things get interesting, because Sampson says the people behind the operation aren't simply trying to kill someone. They're trying to control something capable of changing the balance of power inside the government. Reacher asks one question. What? Sampson refuses to answer. Then Reacher notices something. Sampson's hands are shaking, not from fear, from pain. Reacher immediately understands. Sampson is sick, but before Reacher can press him, the lights inside the diner go out. Total darkness. A second later, crash! The front window explodes. Everyone drops. Reacher moves before anyone else can react. He grabs Sampson and throws him beneath the table. Another bullet tears through the wall. Then silence. Reacher looks outside. Nothing. Whoever fired the shots is already gone. But they made one mistake. They left something behind. A tiny curved blade. A karambit. Reacher picks it up. And suddenly, the title of this episode makes sense. Karambits in Pieces. Because this isn't one mystery. It's a puzzle. And Reacher has just found another piece. While Reacher investigates the attack, Tamara Green is taking a completely different approach. She doesn't want to wait for answers. She wants to steal them. Tamara discovers that a government facility has been quietly receiving encrypted communications connected to the subway incident. But there is a problem. The facility is heavily protected. Security cameras, armed guards, biometric locks. Tamara doesn't care. She waits until the early hours of the morning. Then she gets inside. Piece by piece, door by door, camera by camera. She moves through the building like she has done this before. And eventually, she reaches the archive room. Inside are hundreds of classified files. But one file immediately catches her attention. The name on it is Lila Hoth. Tamara freezes, because Lila wasn't supposed to be connected to any government operation. At least, that's what everyone believed. Tamara opens the file and discovers something terrifying. Lila's identity had been monitored for years, not because she was dangerous, because somebody was afraid of what she might eventually reveal. Tamara keeps digging. Then she discovers a second name, John Sampson, and a third, Reacher. The 3 names appear together inside a classified intelligence report. Tamara realizes something. Reacher isn't investigating the conspiracy from the outside. He has already been part of the plan. He just didn't know it. But before Tamara can copy the files, the lights come on. Someone is standing behind her. Tamara turns. Nothing. Then she hears footsteps. She grabs the drive and runs. The security alarms explode through the building. Guards flood the corridor. Tamara reaches an emergency exit. But one guard catches up. He grabs her. She fights back. The confrontation is brutal. And just when it looks like Tamara is trapped, she uses the karambit she took earlier. One quick movement. The guard drops. Tamara escapes. But she doesn't realize someone saw everything. Meanwhile, Jacob Merrick receives devastating news. His sister's death wasn't random. The official story said she was simply in the wrong place at the wrong time. But new evidence says otherwise. She was targeted. Jacob can't accept it. He wants revenge. And that makes him vulnerable. Because someone knows exactly what Jacob wants. A mysterious caller contacts him. The voice tells Jacob, "We know who killed your sister." Jacob asks for a name. The caller gives him one. Then the line goes dead. Jacob immediately begins searching for the man. But Reacher arrives before he can find him. Reacher tells Jacob something important. Don't chase him. Jacob refuses. Reacher grabs him. You're being used. Jacob asks why. Reacher answers. Because angry people make predictable mistakes. And that is when Reacher reveals the truth. The man Jacob is hunting may not be the killer. He may be the next victim. No one expected what happens next, because Reacher discovers that the mysterious caller has been manipulating both sides. Jacob, Tamara, and Reacher. They're all being pushed toward the same location, a warehouse near the Philadelphia docks, and someone is waiting for them. Reacher arrives at the warehouse first. It's completely dark. No guards, no vehicles, nothing, which immediately tells him something is wrong. A normal criminal operation leaves evidence. This place doesn't. It's too clean. Reacher walks inside. Then he hears a sound. A woman's voice. Lila. She's standing at the other end of the warehouse, alive, but terrified. Reacher asks her what happened. Lila tells him she was followed. She tried to escape. And then someone told her something she couldn't understand. They said her father wasn't the real target. She was. Reacher stops. Why? Lila doesn't know. Then she gives him the one piece of information nobody else had. Her biological mother had once worked for an intelligence program, and years ago, that program disappeared. Officially, it never existed, but Lila believes her mother kept records that could expose everyone involved. Reacher realizes the subway incident wasn't the beginning. It was the end of a much older operation. Suddenly, the warehouse doors slam shut. Reacher turns. 3 armed men enter. Then 3 more. Reacher looks at Lila. Stay behind me. The fight begins. And this is where Reacher does what Reacher does best. He doesn't fight beautifully. He fights efficiently. One attacker comes from the left. Reacher blocks, breaks his arm, uses him as a shield. Another attacker fires. Reacher throws the first man into him. 2 down. A third charges. Reacher sends him through a table. But there are too many. Reacher realizes this isn't an attempt to kill him. They're trying to delay him. Why? Because someone else is doing something somewhere else. Then Tamara arrives. She throws the stolen drive toward Reacher. Look at this. Reacher catches it. Tamara tells him the files prove that the conspiracy reaches inside the government. But there is something even worse. The files contain a schedule, a list of future targets. Reacher scans the names: politicians, intelligence officers, witnesses. And then his eyes stop. The final name is John Sampson. Reacher understands. The attack at the diner wasn't a warning. It was an assassination attempt. And the next one will be much bigger. But then Tamara notices something. The list isn't arranged by importance. It's arranged by time. Which means Sampson isn't necessarily the final target. He's simply next. Reacher looks at the clock. They have less than an hour. Everyone rushes out. But there is one more twist. Jacob has disappeared. He followed the mysterious caller. And now the caller has him. Reacher receives a message. One photograph. Jacob tied to a chair. Behind him is the same symbol found on the karambit. Then another message appears. Bring the drive. Reacher looks at Tamara. Tamara asks, "What are you going to do?" Reacher answers, "I'm going to get Jacob." The final act begins with Reacher entering an abandoned government building. No backup, no police, no team, just Reacher. And the drive. He walks through the empty corridors. Then he hears Jacob. "Reacher!" He follows the voice. But when he enters the room, Jacob isn't there. It's a recording. A trap. The doors lock. Gas begins filling the room. Reacher immediately covers his mouth. He searches for an exit. Nothing. Then he notices something strange. A ventilation panel. He tears it from the wall. Behind it is a narrow passage. Reacher crawls through and discovers a hidden control room. Inside are monitors showing everything. The subway, the diner, Tamara, Jacob, Lila, even Reacher. Someone has been watching them from the beginning. And then the screens turn black. A single message appears. You were never the target. Reacher stares at the screen. Another message appears. You were the distraction. Then Reacher finally understands. The entire conspiracy was designed around one idea. Keep Reacher chasing the wrong enemy, while the real operation happens somewhere else. Reacher immediately calls Tamara.
No answer. He calls Lila. No answer. Then his phone rings. It's Sampson. But Sampson isn't calling for help. He's warning Reacher. He says, "Don't come to Philadelphia." Reacher asks why. Sampson replies, "Because they're already there." The line cuts. Reacher looks at the surveillance monitors. One camera suddenly comes alive. It shows a crowded government building, and Sampson is walking inside. Reacher realizes the truth. The assassination isn't happening somewhere secret. It's happening in public, during a major political event. Reacher races toward the building. Outside, thousands of people are gathered. Security is everywhere. But somewhere inside, one person is carrying a weapon. Reacher pushes through the crowd. He spots Sampson. Then he sees the attacker. The man reaches inside his jacket. Reacher moves. Everything happens in seconds. He tackles the attacker. The weapon hits the floor. Security surrounds them. But Reacher doesn't celebrate, because the attacker is smiling. Reacher looks at him. "Who sent you?" The man laughs, then says, "You still don't understand." Reacher's expression changes. The attacker leans closer. "Stopping me was the plan." Cut to black. Then, one final scene. Lila is sitting alone in a car. She opens the stolen drive. There is only one file on it, a video. Her mother appears on screen, and she says, "Lila, if you're watching this, then Reacher has already found you." Lila freezes. Her mother continues, "Don't trust the man who says he wants to protect you." The video ends. Lila looks toward the driver's seat. Someone is sitting there. We never see their face. The person starts the engine and says, "Your mother was right." Cut to black. And that would be the perfect cliffhanger, because Reacher has stopped the attack, but he hasn't stopped the conspiracy. In fact, he may have just helped it. The biggest hidden idea behind this fan-made episode is that Reacher's greatest strength, his ability to recognize patterns, can also become his weakness. He's so focused on finding the person responsible that someone else is using his investigation to eliminate their enemies. The karambit therefore becomes more than just a weapon. It represents the entire mystery. One piece, then another, and Reacher has to keep putting those pieces together before he realizes someone else is building the puzzle too. And if this story continued into episode 5, Reacher wouldn't just be hunting the enemy. He would have to figure out whether one of the people standing beside him was secretly working for them.